This is what no one tells you about fat loss. And if you're curious about working with us, go ahead and click the link below to learn more. But what no one is willing to tell you about fat loss is that it's super simple. It is. Fat loss by itself is extremely simple. It's the beliefs that get in the way. That's what no one is willing to tell you about fat loss. It's the narratives that you're playing out. If your narrative is that you're not enough to be the weight that you want to be, if your narrative is that you don't deserve it, if your narrative is that you're the fat girl or the fat guy in the group, or your narrative is I can't. That's a really simple one that gets in a lot of people's way. Oh, I could never do that. It's like, who put that on you except for you right now, right? We all have these. We all have some narrative that we're living with, these rules that we place upon ourselves, these subjective truths, these things that we find so true to us that we just couldn't believe that there's another way that could possibly be until it's not, until you start questioning it, until it comes into your conscious awareness. If someone realizes that they're eating their feelings away and they start anticipating that they have this negative feeling that or something that's, the too painful to confront in this moment sort of thing, so they're trying to cover it with food, and they realize in that moment, then they can think it through and then they can put it down. Is it true that you have to eat your feelings away? Is it even true that you could eat your feelings away? This is the tricky part. The tricky part is the narrative and the belief structures and the truths and building that self-awareness into it. And this sounds like a little flu nonsense, but it's just not that hard to figure out. For instance, if education was the only thing, if all you had to do was know how to eat better, well, then you would already do it. And I almost guarantee you that you already know. I really doubt that if you pulled 1,000 people, I shouldn't say it that way, but almost everybody would agree that an apple is better than a candy bar at most given times, right? Unless you're like stranded on a deserted island and you just need more calories, So it kind of goes back to people really just need to be reminded more than they need to be taught. But how are you going to just be reminded every single day, all the time? Well, you would have to change your habits. You'd have to change your narrative. You'd have to change the stories that you're telling yourself. You'd have to change your subjective truths. You'd have to change these rules that you're placing upon yourself. You'd have to change your beliefs about what you can and can't have, and what you can and can't do, and who you are. And then maybe you'll have a chance at living out this life how you do want to live it. I don't want to sound too kind of like esoteric there, but fat loss by itself is actually really simple. You have to eat less. You have to eat less food. It's really not all that complicated. Work out more, eat less. On the grand scheme of things, like when you really get down to it, it's just not all that complicated. You're not going to escape the laws of thermodynamics. They are a thing. Calories are a thing, even if you don't necessarily need to sit there and count them all. Really, and I should mention here that calories aren't the whole game. They are in the sense that they are the whole game, but counting calories is not a requirement until you're like, I don't know, probably under 15% body fat for males and under 20% body fat for females. You're gonna have to be well on your way before you start having to count calories. So if you have 50 pounds to lose, you don't need to count calories yet. You just need to think about the choices that you're making on a regular basis. But most of us aren't really thinking about the choices that we make. We're just kind of making them. And we're making them based on the narrative and the beliefs and the truths and the rules that we place upon ourselves. And one of the first ones that you might want to start to notice, I'm not even telling you to confront it yet, just start to recognize it, is how often you say some version of, I'm not enough. It's like if you think that you don't deserve something, that's not enough. If you think you can't do something, that's not enough. If you get nervous, what are you getting nervous about? You're afraid that you're not enough. If you get angry about something, you're trying to push people away because you don't want them to see that you're scared that you're not enough. I do this, you do this, everybody in the world has done this at some point. We all have the opportunity to go to this place where we consider ourselves not enough for whatever it is that we're trying to do. Those are your beliefs and rules and truths, and they are a window into your subconscious that you can use to get to where you want to go, because once you start challenging those, a lot of great things happen. But no one's willing to tell you this stuff, or no one's willing to tell you that. that fat loss is actually really simple, and that it's the other part that's really difficult. But if you don't tackle both, you're just going to end up right where you always were. So anyway, if you were curious about working with us, go ahead and click the link below, and we'll see how we can help.